Episode 206.
The reality is, when you're in the rabbit hole, I mean, you're in pain. And sometimes that's a situation because you're in so much pain, you're not gathering the data that you should be gathering.
And before you start training and learning about diagnostics, critical thinking, how systems work, not even diagnostics so much as how this system is supposed to work, what are they trying to do, voltage drop, Ohm's law. That's learning the map, learning topology.
If you enjoyed the class, or you learned things from the class, even if you didn't enjoy it, but the information was solid, maybe after the class try to establish some sort of relationship or some sort of rapport with that instructor or with some of the other people that attended. That's a great place to network.
Welcome, aftermarketers, to On Point from Remarkable Results Radio and a special interview from an auto care industry professional.
On Point.
Welcome, aftermarket professionals, to Remarkable Results Radio and to episode 206. Hey, I was able to corral technicians Matt Fanslow, Bob Heipp, and Peter Landry into my Vision 2017 recording studio, and you are in for a treat. Welcome. I'm Carm Capriato, and I'm so glad you're here each and every episode to gain information, insights, and hear aftermarket stories. And we do it twice per week. This episode is brought to you by Federal Mogul Motor Parts. Hey, they're the reason you enjoy these interviews twice per week. When you need innovation and quality, you need Federal Mogul Motor Parts. Brands like Moog, Felpro, Wagner Brake, Anco, Champion, Seal Power, FP Diesel, and more. They're the parts techs trust. Find out more at fmmotorparts.com. Let me thank a few new connectors with me on Facebook, like Dustin Osborne, Jessica Arms, and Tracy Renee, and to my new LinkedIn connections, Daniel Farr, Katrina Carrasco, and Jeff Hogue. Hey, glad to have you on board with the podcast. And reach out to me via email at carm@remarkableresults.biz. You may have an idea for a show or a guest request. I love to hear from you. And yes, I read them all. Now, you have one more way each week to enjoy the energy you get from listening to the podcast. It is the Town Hall Live Forum every Friday at 12 noon Eastern. To get in on the action, go to remarkableresults.biz/live and sign up just once to be in the audience each week. You can also watch live on Facebook, and you can get that link on the live page also. Hey, when the idea came up to create this technician roundtable, it took me about 1 second to love the idea and say yes to it with my co-collaborator, Matt Fanslow. So Matt gathered his peers, Bob Heipp and Peter Landry, to join us. Matt and Bob both have been on the show before in their own episodes, and on the show notes page, remarkableresults.biz/E206, you'll have links to their episodes. We recorded this session at Vision on the morning of the last day. Now, these guys were on their game, being introspective, thought-provoking, and at times very funny, even after 4 days of high-intensity training and networking. We covered many topics like going down the rabbit hole, networking, must-ask questions at seminars, and their admiration for every Vision attendee, among other slices of wit and wisdom. Bob Heipp is from Mobile Auto Solutions in Chicago, Pete Landry is from Landry's Mobile Diagnostics, and Matt Fanslow is from Riverside Automotive in Red Wing, Minnesota. Peter, Bob, and Matt have all attended classes at Vision and have been instructors. They are working techs that have a huge passion for the success and future of the aftermarket. Now here we go with our inaugural Technicians Roundtable. Hey, we're here at Vision 2017 Kansas City, and we're live in a roundtable discussion with I should have been recording the first 15 minutes as we were in here because it was almost a comedy show. But glad to have you all here. Matt Fanslow, Riverside Automotive, Pete
Laundry.
Pete. How dare you? How dare you, sir?
I'm going to edit
Sorry,
this.
that's all my fault.
Pete Landry, mobile technician. From where, Pete?
Milwaukee, Wisconsin.
Milwaukee.
Good friend of Scott Manis.
Oh, okay, good. Well, that brought you into the seat, didn't it? And Bob Heipp, Mobile Auto Solutions. Now, Matt and Bob have been on the show before. Please search on the website for their interview. We did one-on-one. Glad to have you guys here. Wow, it is Sunday morning. You obviously should be out doing some additional training, but you've chosen to stop by here and share your life with the world. Wow, are you burned out?
Definitely tired.
Yeah, burnt out isn't the correct terminology. Tired is
okay.
Tired but revitalized.
Right. Yeah, it's 9
Ener-
a.m. and I'm on my
energized
third Mountain Dew.
Energized with 5 hours of sleep for the weekend.
To me, I never sleep well when I go out and I travel, and this one was even worse because there's just so much energy, so much going on. And who said revitalized? Pete, it was you.
Everybody brings their A game, and it a very positive energy. A lot of jokes that maybe have a little negativity, but they're meant for entertainment purposes. And if you're a little burnt out,
that's a good thing, huh?
Yeah, absolutely. You need to.
I think it's frustrating when you leaving and coming back for. I think for at least my wife, and you want to go away from me type of a thing, but that you leave and you come back and you're energized, and they just can't understand it because they're not in the elements and the dynamics that happen when you're away and you haven't seen people that for a year, 2 years, whatever. And I'm normally in bed by 9:30 p.m. And it's just one of those things.
I could tell your social posts go way down.
Right. Exactly. They started about 5:45 a.m. and around 8:30. So, but it's one of those things here. We rolled in at 5:10 a.m. I got 2 hours of sleep, was up until 2:30 in the morning, and I got up at 7 the next day.
Bob, you look good.
The bag.
Lie well. Lie well.
I don't know who does your makeup, but you.
What about the maniacs you work with that got here Friday?
We all got here Friday.
So you were in that? So you're one of those maniacs.
Oh, by the way, you guys came down in a big van, didn't you?
11-passenger van. We all worked full day on Thursday, so like Kevin and I were up for 24 hours.
The only thing I could sit here and say is commitment. Vision has been, at my first time here, it's 25th anniversary. I've seen the keynotes, walked around to some seminars, seen the show floor. But the bottom line here is the level and the quality of training that exists. But I want to hold that point. You brought up such a great thing about the wife. And one of the things that is talked about so much in our industry is this ongoing training that is so critical, and it is a must. But the outside world, even our families, don't understand what it takes today to stay on top of things. Now, if you were a doctor, Bob, and you say, hey, listen, I got to go to the AMA conference because we're talking about cardiology things, she'd say, go, because I want you to keep earning those big bucks. And if you don't go, right, that hasn't caught up to the rest of the world as to what it really takes.
Well, part of it is most of the guys coming here aren't making big bucks. They're scraping by. And when you're scraping by and you've got that level of commitment, I applaud it.
Speaks volumes, yeah.
Well, they're driven people, and they're not motivated by
money.
There's a true passion for what they do. That's why they're at the top of the food chain. They're doing, absolute top 1% work.
Is it the love of the automobile? Is it the love of working with your hands? Is it the love of the challenge?
I got to say the challenge, the puzzle.
I definitely agree.
think it depends on the guy.
Well,
some people love the mechanical end of it and the puzzle of the whole thing. I'm talking to Tom Meyer at the trade show, and he's like, I'm slammed with work. I went back to this place. I've got these 3 cars. I got to put cams in these 2, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't even imagine having to go back and doing the mechanical end of it anymore.
Because you've moved into diagnostics.
Because my body's just beat to crap. My hands hurt. I'm going up and down the stairs. My knees are killing me. And Tom's my age, so his body's got to be close to mine. As far as we weren't smart like kids today. Racking a car, you put a knee pad down, and no, we were put our knees right on the concrete and stuff, and
no kneeling pads back then. No rubber gloves.
Stupid kid. If I need a battery sitting on the floor, I'd kick it across the shop to get it to the.
Yeah, it's a great way to keep your knees in good shape.
Right. Yeah. No, I beat my body up just by when you're a kid, you're invincible.
That's right. So diagnostics, is it a perfect evolution from not having to do all that lifting and heavy work and getting, the drips of the car under, as you're
if
under
you've
the car?
got the mind for it? And I consider myself on the weak end of it. I surround myself with people that are far more intelligent and savvy than myself. And so I'm able to capitalize on networking and friendships to help up my game. My thing is, I'm not sure exactly what I bring to the table.
Well, look, I love what you said. You surround yourself with people that you feel are ahead of you in whatever capacity you think they are. Is coming to vision part of that strategy?
Oh, but yes. Yeah.
But you've also instructed here.
Yes.
And are you humbled to be in the audience or humbled to be in front of them?
Both.
Okay.
Bob's a very humble individual.
Clearly.
In general.
It's on the weekend. Not.
So wearing a lab coat, do you call what the diagnostic world is today is more of that high-tech scientific approach to your job?
No, it's logical diagnostics, thinking, and following a path. I mean, we go into shops and I can't figure this out, and this component's not working. I checked all the fuses. You walk in, you look at a diagram, and then you pull out a meter or something, and, well, you didn't check this fuse because it's open. And it's just one of those things that you have to have some form of base of logic of, okay, let's get from point A to point B. But the reality is, for me, and I know other people, I doubt these two, I go down the rabbit hole and, I'm chasing my tail and then kicking myself after I've been died on a diagnostic.
Are you learning every time you jump into the rabbit hole, and are you recording?
We're trying.
Okay. Each and every time.
That's part of it.
Yeah, you're trying.
That's the best teacher.
But the reality is, when you're in the rabbit hole, I mean, you're in pain. And sometimes that's a situation because you're in so much pain, you're not gathering the data that you should be gathering.
There's no question.
Oh, yeah.
Because when that moment arrives.
Well, you might not originally, early on, you might not know you're in the rabbit hole.
Oh, yeah.
You have no idea you're in the rabbit hole.
There's even a potential to.
Right. You're following this path.
Right.
But
it is the right path at that moment.
In your head,
yeah.
It appears
in
to be.
retrospect, you're.
It appears to be.
Yeah, you took two lefts instead of a right, and
it may not be the correct path, but it's definitely the
it's a path.
It's a path. Path to.
How often does this happen on a daily basis?
You're going to turn on the path many times. It's identifying quickly that you've made the wrong turn.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hopefully, it's not
Don't
on a daily basis.
Well,
Yeah.
That's what diagnostics is essentially: is a series of turns. How long are you going to invest in this amount of time? You're going to spend 2 hours going the wrong direction, or are you going to, is it going to be a fleeting thought? Well, it can't be that thing. Done. We're done.
Yep.
And it's like, I mean, you're reading a test plan, a trouble tree, whatever, and it's okay. Like, I have really difficulty reading, dyslexic, whatnot, and I have to really slow myself down. But at times, I'll be reading something, and it's just like I'm tossing that. I'm going to jump down to pieces because, well, I'm obviously smarter than the guy that wrote that. And so
I would think that's a fair statement, Bob, actually, in most cases.
I can't actually disagree.
But in reality, sometimes jumping those makes you turn left when you should have turned right.
And when you're following things of that nature, where you don't have your own ability involved because you're following somebody else's path,
it's like
not
using
your own
GPS.
path. Yeah.
But like,
Right?
and
You can
for
spend
me,
a lot of time
like,
going the wrong way.
I'm more of an Asian domestic guy as far as that's where my background has been, because Euros, every time I'd work in shops that would work on Euros, but you didn't have the tools, the equipment, or the information to do it. So certainly didn't give you a love for Euros. Now I have the ability to have the right tools, the factory tools. And I took an ISTA class this weekend just for navigation purposes. And I found out, I didn't realize that they actually have live data and bidirectional control. And that's the stuff that, that's how I learned how to fix cars. Go in there, look at live data, make stuff happen, not follow a test plan.
Right. Create your own test plan, which of course gives you and helps you build a stronger skill set.
I'm talking to Bud Houston, a technical product specialist with Federal Mogul Motor Parts. Do you actually put products in the hands of the technicians?
Yes, absolutely. Anytime there's new product introduced, perhaps a new problem solver or a new technology, we keep that stuff on the van just because their local parts supplier may not have it available, and we think it's important to show them what's coming. And then seeing the part is really, especially with the new OEX, seeing the part and touching the part is something that changes perspective rather than just a piece of paper with a picture of the part.
Okay, so you put an OEX pad into the hand of a technician, and you've done this, I'm sure, hundreds of times. What do you see on their face when they see it?
You can tell they get it. In our industry, there's technology that we use all the time that you look at and you're like, that just doesn't make sense to me. I'm going to take your word that it works. You put an OEX brake pad in somebody's hand, and I just ask the question, why does this look so weird? And they're like, I bet it's to make it cool. They get it as soon as you put it in their hand.
So technicians holding your product and listening to your presentation, do you ever see the light bulbs go up? They raise their hand and says, boy, I've got a great idea for you?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Not only does that happen, every time I'm with a group of guys, I solicit ideas. I'm like, listen, a lot of the stuff that I've shared with you originated in a bay somewhere where the technician said, you know what, if you could do this, it would be really cool. And so the stuff that I get, I send up, to our engineering team and say, hey, could we do something like this? And there's things in the works, and there's some things that came out recently that originated in, hey, if you could do this, it would be helpful. Because at the end of the day, I think Federal Mogul's known in every line to be a problem solver, and not just solving a problem, but making an installation easier as well.
Federal Mogul Motor Parts' Garage Gurus is your go-to source for the vehicle training, technology, and answers you need to keep your next job on track. On-site, online, or on demand, the Gurus are here to help keep your business and your career on the road to success. Visit fmgarageguru.com.
So I have a horrific.
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 I need you guys to shoot it up. But coming to vision, going to training, it's kind of like learning to study a map, like a city map. And before you start training and learning about diagnostics, critical thinking, how systems work, not even diagnostics so much as how this system is supposed to work, what are they trying to do, voltage drop, Ohm's law. That's learning the map, learning topology, stuff like that. Now, if you're somebody that doesn't go to training, it's using GPS. It's breaking out the Garmin. It's breaking out the TomTom.
In its early phases.
Right. Typing in where you want to go. And now you're at the mercy of that voice. You're at the mercy of that GPS to take you where you need to go.
And if you get you there all the time until it doesn't.
Right. Where if you learn the map.
Until it doesn't. You're right.
If you learn the map, if you learn the lay of the land, even if the GPS kind of takes you off track, you kind of know where you're at. You kind of know where you got to go. Oh, I recognize this street. That would take me where I need to go. Why do they want me to go this way? Recalculating.
Or similar to that, you head down to Chicago from my neck of the woods. I don't know what areas are busy at what times. So if I follow GPS, I end up in a traffic jam because I don't know to get off one exit earlier and go a different way.
Yep.
But I don't know that.
I had going up to Wisconsin and from Illinois to see relatives. I'll follow the GPS because it's the cool new thing. I'm driving through a field following GPS going, how did I get here and how do I get out?
And this is fun. Right? You have four-wheel drive.
It was. It was four-wheel drive.
Excellent.
Really?
Yeah. Excellent. Yeah.
So grab some produce?
It's
Great analogy, guys. I'm just learning so much. What are your biggest takeaways? What are you taking home?
Stories, laughs. I think, like Pete mentioned, your batteries are recharged now. Yeah, you're almost itching. You're dog tired. Yeah, you're dog tired. Yeah. And then, but you still, Monday morning, you can't wait to get that first ticket.
Because it may just have been talked about at Vision.
It might have.
Or something new that I learned.
Yeah.
Shortcut that I now have.
Yeah, you're almost praying for one of those cars now.
Yeah, and like a lot of stuff that the company I work for does, there's nothing at Vision that is going to be directly applicable. But it's taking that information and pulling information out of it so that you can make something, okay, I'm learning about GDI. How do I move that into some other system because of its how you think and how you get direction and that kind of a thing. But we work on a lot of body shop cars. So we'll work on a 2018 car in, I don't know, May or June. So dealers do that. Nobody on the aftermarket does that. But it's part of our business that puts us into that. So we see systems that the majority of the Vision attendees won't see for 10 years.
So tell me about being instructors, and you've all been instructors here before. How hard do you prepare to do your classes?
Well, I put my wife to sleep.
Oh, you practice in front of her?
Yeah. Got her sawing logs. I said, okay, I need to revisit this. Yeah.
How about you, Pete?
I definitely go through it, not to my wife, but to myself in the basement. I speak out loud.
Good.
It all goes out the window as soon as I'm in front of a crowd.
Sure.
I don't know why, honestly, I waste the time doing that.
I've done it
exercise.
before. I've done it before, and I've always found value in the practice.
Yeah?
Yeah.
My nerves get the best of me in front of people, for sure. So,
does your crazy, dry, witty sense of humor go away when you get up in front of a class?
Yeah, it's gone. Out the window, yes.
It's
really
very unfortunate, however, for everybody.
What is your demeanor in front of a class?
I've never actually seen it. Obviously, Bob's seen it.
Are you a serious, hard-charging instructor?
I don't know.
No.
I think he's trying to be serious.
He's very serious. He's very, I think, measured.
Okay.
So, and that is, I think his brain's working a million miles a minute thinking, okay, what is the politically correct thing I can say to the audience to answer a question, whatever, versus what I would like to say if I was in a circle of friends.
Well, and we have instructors that we go to that we respect and we look up to, and we kind of form a idea of a line we have to kind of stay with, or some boundaries that we have to stay in. And we don't want to really go outside of those boundaries because that's goes against what the instructors we look up to would do. However, I think part of it is why we look up to those instructors is, for the most part, when they're up in front of the class, it's them or it's them turned up a little bit. Their personalities turned up just a little bit. Some of them more than others. Pete turns his personality down, and one day he's going to get up there and turn it up, and it's going to be awesome. It's going to be awesome.
Well, there was some constructive criticism for you.
Oh, I definitely appreciate it.
I think that's something that most instructors don't get is, criticism that will help them connect with the audience better.
Is there a peer review that goes on at a show like this where, and again, I think you're almost doing it amongst yourself, but is it ever done on a bigger scale where everyone would get together?
The class surveys.
Yeah, the class surveys. Do they help?
They help if somebody writes down something in the notes.
Most people just check one column of boxes. Either the class was good and everything's a yes, or,
Unless the only time those surveys really you get information out of them is the person that was like offended by the class or didn't like something about you. But you never really get people that are giving hey, all this praise of, hey, this was great. I learned this, that, and the next thing, this instructor did this. It's like everything in life, though. I mean, people like to complain about stuff they don't like.
Yes, they do. Matt, you taught a hands-on class.
Co-taught, yeah.
Yeah, a co-taught. Yeah,
co-taught.
And limited to so many because you were actually working on vehicles.
Yeah, we had 8 live cars that groups broke up into and had scopes on, and we led them through a kind of a checklist of things to do. We had goals for them to be able to do certain things, to be able to capture patterns, to manipulate the patterns, to save them and reopen them for later viewing and studying, building up their own database of known good.
What's the banter? Not everyone's, jumped in. So you're an instructor, you're hanging around, a couple of guys are in it. And what do you hear from the students in the class?
When we're on the cars, it's very focused to what we're doing, and then it may open up about what other classes they've been to. But usually the banter is, how do I do this? Have you ever seen this? I've had the scope for a while. I've had this piece of equipment for a while. Can you show me how to do this? I saw him do it. He went really fast. Can you slow it down for me? Because I really want to get.
So the students that are there, what's the percentage of the lights on? They're so committed to it. I mean, you get 60 in a class. Are they all in 110%?
We had 40, and definitely at the beginning, they're all in. And I think, we're there all day. So they've sat in their chairs for a few hours, and now they're on car side. And even with 8 cars and 40 plus students, it's still a lot of people around a car. And they're all trying to make connections because we pressure people. We really want them under the hood and making connections themselves.
Guys, the trend, talked to an awful lot of techs here and shop owners. We closed. We're all here. Some of them have gotten on airplanes and flown in.
Some from different countries.
And some from different countries. Have you seen, by just talking and networking, by the way, really big networking, am I right? Let's talk about that in a few minutes, but have you seen more and more techs coming here saying, my owners paid the whole shot to get me here?
I got to level with you. I don't know any of them.
It's not a question I ask.
The dialogue has come up so often on the show as I, interview entrepreneurs and I ask them if they pay for training. And even some techs that I've met here, how are you getting here, on your dime or are you coming on the shop? And I've seen a 50-50 mix.
Yeah. The shop might pay for the classes. They may pay for the ticket. I don't know many, and I'm not saying there isn't any. I'm sure there are, but I don't know many that pay for the flight or the travel, the hotel, their time for being here. And I mean,
by the way, here's my takeaway after talking to a bunch of people. Shop owner and his techs. Shop owner says, we're doing this again next year. We're going to close on a Friday. When the techs are here alone and the shop owner isn't, that's where it's not completely funded, because the shop owner doesn't come here to get his own value on the business management side and to see what's going on and listening to their techs at night and networking. And it's almost like, I think the secret is when the owner comes, then it becomes a lifelong commitment of an investment in training.
And they see the value as a whole. More, it's not just the classes. It's also after the classes. It's between the breaks. It's at the hotel lobby. It's at a restaurant, meeting people you've never met before, or you've seen their name flashing across social media or IATN. Now you're sitting across from them at a hotel talking about this car, that car, this business issue. I just can't get my parts gross profit up.
There was a class for that.
Right, but I'm just saying, now you're talking to somebody that lived it. It's like, oh yeah, man, I was at 40% for years, and I finally had to do this.
Wow, I met some guys 63. Networking, I've always said, been in corporate America my whole life, been my own small business owner. Networking, I always attended conferences. That was the biggest value. Tell me about your networking experiences here, Matt.
Well, I mean, obviously meeting Bob. It's where.
All right, but wait a minute. Well,
that was great.
Matt,
Positive.
Matt, that was a while back. You know for a while. Right here
Today,
this
yesterday.
conference. Yes, your networking experience.
I've met a lot of people that I've seen on Facebook.
Okay.
So a company that's here, AES Wave, has started a Facebook page called AES Tech Feed, and that is for tech support. That is where we can go and discuss what should I buy or how do I do this with this piece of equipment. It's great. And people that have joined up, you run into them and meet them. You get to put a face on them, a personality. It's great.
How about you, Bob?
I mean, like for this weekend, I always, I don't know, always, but for a number of years I've helped out at the ASC Wave booth and helping them sell stuff and fill orders and that kind of a thing, because the company pays it forward to me so much. I feel like I need to pay it back. But I get people coming up, hey, you're Bob Heipp, and I'm like, dude, I'm nobody.
I know who I am.
Really? It's like,
right.
But it's not necessarily that they're starstruck by me, because there's no reason to be starstruck by me. But it's like, you're another guy. I know your name. I can just have an engagement with you now, and I can build my network. And that's what this is about. And like, we were at dinner last night, and there was a group of guys, and I walked up to them, and they seemed like a little contained, and I'm like, how you guys doing? I haven't seen you since last year. Everything going good? Hey, remember, this is about networking. Get around this room and talk to people. I mean, get outside your shell.
Yeah, you don't buy a ticket to come here, and it's the networking ticket, and you don't hand it in at the door. It is the overarching.
You have to come out of yourself. I mean, I'm like, if you take one of those personality tests or whatever, I'm balanced.
Okay.
I'm not introvert. I'm not extrovert.
I've never thought of you as balanced ever. Yeah.
Well, neither have I.
You've never thought that of yourself? The
Balanced?
test? Yeah, I didn't think so. I'm just curious.
This is like
And wait a
those
minute.
Facebook quizzes.
Pete, what would you think he is?
Oh, I don't think we have time for that.
I would say extroverted.
Maybe we do have time for that.
The reality, though,
We need a
is
couch and some psychiatric
I'm yeah, right.
A notepad, definitely.
soothing music, notepad.
I'm very introverted until I meet people, and then I'm very extroverted.
You know what? Okay, yeah.
All right.
That's the
So
reality.
there's his balance is that he's just got to get warm and comfortable, and
Right. And the odd thing is, like, for business wise,
Yeah.
I'm the only guy in our company that can go out and do cold calling, and that's the opposite of my personality, but I'm able to push myself outside of it. And that's what guys coming here need to understand. It might not be your personality to go up to, hey, Pete Landry, or hey, Matt Fanslow, whatever. I mean, you got him too.
This network of I know you, it came from IATN, Facebook groups. Do you find, and Pete, we haven't gotten to you yet about networking, have people just come up to you and say, wow, you're Pete Landry?
No, never. I've never.
Or let me rephrase that. Not that why you're Pete Landry. Hi, you're Pete. We've shared a thread before on IATN. Has that ever happened?
No, they may say, hey, I've seen you with guys that know what's up.
Okay.
And
We're with him because he knows what's up.
yeah.
So they're to learn.
They misunderstand.
Yeah, they got the
people.
dynamic.
Oh,
completely wrong.
that's just a great thing, Matt. For anyone.
Maybe this is an in for so I can hang out with, Bob Heipp or Matt Fanslow.
Yeah, my point is that there's this.
They hang out with Pete, and maybe Pete can get me into the club.
Yeah, there's this power group going on over there.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And I have to tell you, it can be intimidating to go over and see an instructor that you were at a year before and walk up. You're saying you encourage it because you want this industry to prosper. You want knowledge to transfer. You want networks to build. So the message is, please don't be afraid to approach us.
Well, and you see Pete Landry walking around with Scott Manna, and
Scott who?
Scott Manna.
Scott Manna.
He's one of our fearless and noble leaders,
But
Scott Manna.
if you're going through the list of instructors and classes, and say you take a class and it's Scott Manna, and then you see Pete Landry standing next to him. Well,
now you want to talk to?
Maybe you talk to Pete, whatever, at one of the booths, and you say, now I got an in to have maybe a brief conversation with Scott Manna.
Do many technicians that are here think like you guys are thinking?
Oh, no way.
You see, Bob,
Like we do.
We're three of the
Twisted.
No, you're missing my point. You think like you're thinking about how to build their network. Are some techs here? Say
I don't think so.
I don't think so.
Are they just in awestruck and they really don't know how to move?
I don't
this
even know
thing?
if it's awestruck. I think,
just
in Eric's
knowledge intimidation in a way.
And I think in Eric's interview, he brings it up too. A lot of them come, it's very business-like. Maybe the shop paid for their way, paid for the conference for them. They're getting the hotel. They show up. They go to class. They stop at McDonald's on the way back to the room, and they cash it in for the night.
He did say that.
He's right.
He
I think that happens
They're
a
missing
lot.
out.
Yeah, he
Sure.
scolded anyone who goes to Vision that doesn't want to network after all the events. You just can't go to your room and
I don't know if you were walking through the lobby every night.
Oh,
but
I sure was.
The congregation of people blocking the way to get to the elevators and the who's who.
The reality is there are some what would appear to be cliques.
And what you're saying is they're really not.
They're not. All you got to do is walk up and say, hello, my name is, and I'm a recovering automotive mechanic.
Are you saying you want to be in the...
No, I'm saying
Well,
there really
you know
is
what?
no
All you have to
clique.
do is pay.
I don't like the
You're
word
in.
click. I don't like the word click. I think it's really a negative sounding word. And
But it's an appearance, is what I'm saying.
I see what you're
Perception.
saying.
Yeah.
So it's not.
Right.
We encourage, we welcome. If not, we're never going to be this united front industry that wants to earn more money, that wants to fix people's cars, that wants to grow in our own position in the shop.
I mean, we want to. A group like this is dedicated. It's not. You didn't want to go negative. I'm trying not to go negative at all. But I have to say, it's not, because it is societal. It's not the leeches out there trying to suck information for free off of anybody. This is people sharing dynamics and information to help each other grow.
That's a great statement, really. We've really covered some interesting ground, and I want to know one thing: if you each had a chance to tell someone, not necessarily about Vision, but what this level of training means to them, and you meet someone, and they're not going to Vision, but they're going to another training conference. That's pretty good. What are the 3 things you would say to them? Please do this when you go.
I would say, first of all, follow along in your book. In the classes, ask questions. Make the most of your class. So many people get lost in the class because they didn't ask a question early. And now they've got another 2.5 hours of class or 5 hours of class, and they didn't, some of the early stuff.
You're sitting in a classroom with 30, 50, 80, 100, 300 people, and you have a question pop in your head, and you honestly think you're the only individual that came up with that
That's
question?
the magic.
Really?
You're the only one.
Raise your hand, ask the question. You're probably going to have a bunch of people going.
But the reality is, nobody wants to look dumb. But you know what? Sometimes you can't not know all the answers.
No.
So you have to put yourself out there. And like last weekend, my wife and I are out doing our dog stuff, and one of the people I'm with says, you paid your money for 2 minutes in that ring with that judge. You need to take your time because you paid for it. You paid for that class. You paid for that information. If you're not asking the questions, it's bad on you.
Sure.
You need to raise your hand and say, hey, I didn't quite grasp that. Could you go over it again? Or how is this? It doesn't mean you take over the class and try to co-teach it from the back of the room.
I would assume that 50% of the class is so grateful for you to ask that question that you think may make you look stupid, incompetent.
Right, yeah. God, I didn't have to ask that question.
Yeah,
I was
thank
thinking,
God it wasn't me.
Right.
And I think the more and more you stop and ask questions as an interviewer, as a podcaster, I'm hearing acronyms from people. And in the early days, I just kind of let it go. And now I say, wait a minute, what's that mean?
And the reality is those questions, though, the instructors are
Dying.
craving you to ask those questions because it turns the dynamics of the class. The volume knobs go up like crazy. Everybody starts engaging. More questions come. Everybody learns that much more.
How many instructors get up and say, I am so happy you asked me that? It goes on often, more than anyone thinks. Okay, Pete, follow your books. Ask questions early. What else?
If you enjoyed the class, or you learned things from the class, even if you didn't enjoy it, but the information was solid, maybe after the class try to establish some sort of relationship or some sort of rapport with that instructor or with some of the other people that attended. That's a great place to network. And there's not much pressure because nobody's in their quote-unquote clique at that time. Everybody's kind of in their own little... everybody's kind of isolated, so it's a good time, a low pressure time to start some relationships that can lead to further networking.
Is it about business cards? Is it about social contacts?
It's just icebreakers. That's really all it is.
I don't need to go up to the instructor and say, "Hey, it was so glad. Here's my card. I just enjoyed your class." Or how does that network?
Definitely want to use your name. Hi, I'm Bob.
But how's the network start to build when you say, how do you develop a relationship with that instructor or the people that are sitting at your table?
Yeah.
What I typically do or have done is, maybe I'm not 100% clear on something, but he spent enough time on it, or maybe my question's not necessarily what he directed to answer, but maybe I'll think about that question and ask him at the break or maybe after the class, and try to form somewhat of an intelligent question. Not that I'm,
Listen, I've done some training before, and during breaks, someone would come up to me and ask me a question, and I said, when we, restart in 10 minutes, would you get up and ask me that question? Because everyone needs to hear the answer. And if you want to know, I bet you, 50% of the people in here want to know. And to your point about, how exciting it is to have those questions asked. Those are three great points. Bob, how about you?
I guess I have to kind of go off what Pete said. I mean, go in.
Well, we know that's the wrong path.
Do me a favor. Give me your answers for the whole training. I love what you said, Pete. You're talking specific class, event.
The whole event.
The three takeaways, the three most important things you would want to tell me. Please do this when you get there.
Bathe, brush your teeth, don't get drunk.
No, I think it's just engage. It's go to class. Don't be sitting there not saying anything, trying to absorb. Engage the instructor, engage the other people in class. Don't be a know-it-all. Just asking questions that will help others. Think about it in that respect. If you're helping yourself, you're hopefully helping others. And then afterwards, make those contacts. And hey, I heard you ask that question. And by the way, my name is, and maybe share some information for down the road. And you just got to kind of come out of yourself, and that's how you grow your network. I mean, we came here as a business, and it was make sure you're getting to know other people, because our business is growing, and we need to find more employees down the road. And, well, we're at a big conference of dedicated people. So,
unfortunately, from all over the country and world, and
the reality is, though, I just put a thing on the AES Wave feed on Facebook saying we're looking for employees, and for the right people, we're willing to talk relocation.
That's a big move. You guys are on the move. How many people work in your company?
8 right now. 8 technicians, plus we have an office manager.
Worldwide, baby. Here we come.
If you're not growing, you're stagnant or shrinking.
Heard that quote before. Matt, how about you? Give me three important things to do when I go to a conference like this.
Again, we can't stress it enough. Get out there and meet people. The hotel lobbies, the restaurants, that is a great place to form relationships, develop friendships that last, and start reaching outside of the industry. The other thing is hit the expo and spend time with these vendors, because they are what make this thing go. The vendors are the ones that foot a large part of the bill for a lot of the things that can be done for our entertainment, to take care of us, to take care of the instructors, keep bringing in the level of training they do consistently, because they pay for that space. Do them the honor of spending some time there, and better yet, spending some money there. Support these vendors that continually.
And it's not about dropping $1,000.
No,
I mean, it might be $100 set of test leads or something. I mean, it's just show your appreciation.
But the people out there consistently at these type of events, they are the vendors that support us, and we need to support them. I don't think I could stress that enough.
I talked to a few vendors last night from the expo, and I walked the show floor just as it was closing, and I know a bunch of people there. They said it was a phenomenal show. They love Vision.
The energy.
It's one of the best.
Yeah.
It's one of the best expo. The trade show is one of the best.
And it's really not long. It's what, a day and a half or something like that. It's short,
roughly.
sweet, concise. They try to do their best not to conflict with the training that's going on. So when the expo's open, the training is off. And they really appreciate getting bombarded. Beautiful, gorgeous displays. So much to see. You know, you talk about shiny baubles. Man, there was stuff here. I just couldn't believe the amount of equipment that was on display.
And a lot of the booths have people that use the product. So you can go into a booth and talk to Bob, who uses this on a daily basis and can tell you flat out what you need to know. How do you put a value on that?
And that's some of the stuff, like when I work the AES Wave booth, I tell people flat out, I don't work for these guys. I'm here to help. And I'm not here to sell you that piece, because it might not be what you need. Let me sell you this, because you're better off having that. And AES Wave might not make as much money but on that particular sale, but they've earned a longer time customer that's going to come back because they appreciate being sold something that they can use.
I love your stuff, Matt. So network, basically you said hang out at the lobbies and restaurants, but I think what you're really saying is network.
Yep. And then if you start attending regularly, start hitting classes that you normally wouldn't take, maybe aren't in your wheelhouse, just so you could sit through a different instructor. I've never heard this person speak.
I love that. Stretch. Really what you're saying is stretch yourself. Last night, I believe, and Matt, it could have been you, because we were hanging out in the lobby and meeting so many people. Someone said, look at the instructor who is doing the class and be sure that as you spend time at Vision, you not only take the class that interests you or the class that stretches you, you've got to be able to experience all the different instructors that come here. Would you guys agree to that?
Certainly not all, but there's definitely some top level, some guys that if you come here and don't see them and they're not in your neck of the woods, you made a mistake.
Yeah, you're doing yourself a great disservice.
Well, what you're saying is if they're not available in your normal, say, regional uptake,
right,
and they're here, would you guys be ready to go online and say who was here that people shouldn't have missed?
Thornton, man.
Yeah, I mean, I would do it. Well, Thornton's always going to come up. He's the
best. He's the best.
Creme de la creme, because there's nobody like him.
So you're saying if you come to a class that John Thornton's teaching at and you don't go, you didn't get your money's worth.
Yeah, if you've never seen him,
You still got your money's
to
worth,
see
but-
him. And yeah, that's a good point.
You
got
could
your
have
money's
gotten
worth.
better value.
Oh,
You got your money
bang
either
for
way.
buck.
I like that.
Yeah, better bang for your buck.
Anybody that knows John knows that he's one of the most humble people you'll ever meet in your life. He does not like people
He's going to be
talking
upset that we
about
just
him.
dropped him right.
Well, he's almost as humble as Manna.
Almost. That was Scott Manna.
Scott Manna.
Scott Manna, John Thornton, who else?
So, well, first of all, going off what these guys had said, though, is you got to see Thornton. You got to see Thornton.
Right.
Being local, I've been to a class where, there's a shop that was 3 blocks from where I was working, and I see the guy at break time, and, he's beside himself. He is, oh my gosh, this is so over my head, I'm just sticking to brakes.
Well, there's a great way to flush out what you want to do in life.
I think other instructors, Eric
Depends on your
Ziegler,
level of
I know.
where you're at as to, is John Thornton going to be that instructor like these guys are talking? These guys are high-level guys. And I'm not trying to say the low-level guy's not getting it, because John works harder at teaching than anybody I've ever seen. So John really is, for me and these guys, he's the pinnacle. But he's not going to be everyone's favorite guy.
but he's going to be a lot of people going in thinking, I don't know if I can do this. I don't, I really struggle with this drivability stuff or this diagnostic stuff. And
I
they go to
heard
John's class.
Ken Zander's class was really good as a diagnostic class and talking about GMOs
I met
and
Ken
stuff
for the
like
first
that.
time. I want to have him
Yeah.
on the show.
Yeah. And they leave going,
I heard a lot
can
of
do
people
this.
talking about Schotten and Ziegler's
Yeah,
class.
Eric's.
Yeah.
Was a great class.
Thorson, Seth, if it's, BMW. But if you're looking to break into the BMW world,
And why not? And why not come here to go through that class to find out? When I hear you talk about John, and I can't quite remember who it was that told me here. It was yesterday, and they may have been referencing John by saying John learns about training. He may be very good at his craft, but he also studies training.
Correct.
yeah, I think we've discussed it on the phone.
Yes,
You and
yes.
I, where
Yeah.
he's put a lot of effort into presentation.
And the key is when someone does ask a question, and you're in the back of the room, and the trainer starts giving the answer, and you're in the back of the room saying, maybe that's the question I wanted to ask, and I'm getting an answer. You're trying to connect what the instructor is saying, and you're trying to figure out the question without getting the benefit from the answer. You're trying to the trainers that study training realize that you repeat the question. It's one of the most simplest things that a trainer could ever do.
And quite often reform the question as well.
Right.
Yeah.
Take a little pressure off the guy that, he's already nervous. He may not have formed the question very well, but you know what he meant, and you can restate it for him, so everybody understands what the question really was, or what question you're answering, so that you clarify. Okay, I think what you mean is blah blah blah.
Yep.
So sit down and don't ask. No, I'm kidding.
Forgot about George Menchu.
Yeah. Stellar.
Yeah. And then management side, I've heard a lot of good things about Barry Barrett.
Barry Barrett, Jeremy O'Neill, Bob Greenwood. The whole group that I've seen here on the management side is just exceptional. They're so passionate. They care. Bill Haas, Cecil Bullard, all these guys have been on my show, and they're incredible people. I've gotten to know them, and let's not, every time someone mentions vision, you always seem to think of the technician side and that level of high level diagnostic training, but that management side that's here. I guess you can't earn the big bucks. You can't have a lifelong job unless someone runs a good company. And that's where I think this is such a great marriage. And I think it's more like 60% technicians here and 40% service managers and,
Is it that?
and shop owners.
Wow, really?
I would like to know if that's accurate.
All right. Well,
I was going to say that.
I may not have my stat right, but when I did the roundtable 2 days ago with ASA, the leadership team here, we discussed it, and I thought I remembered it.
Yeah.
Oh, that could be.
But let me,
I'm
what?
a little surprised, but it's not something I look at.
Listen, I've had a beer since that interview, so I don't trust that number.
You'd have to ask Sherry too. But I think this year there's way more management training.
Oh, really?
I think so.
Okay.
It seems like it.
I ignore the whole section.
Hey, there's management training going on today, right now. And so, hey, great. So, look at, thank you for being here. Now, I have one more question for you, and I don't want our listeners to click this off because it's not over. Because I think what you're going to tell me right now is going to be the biggest takeaway from our interview, and you don't know the question. And I don't know who wants to go
and leave before.
Yeah, I know.
Well, I'll wait for you to ask.
Pete, I locked the door. You can't get out. Come on, you got to finish this thing up.
You know it locks from the inside, right? I can figure these things out.
You're a genius.
He's a locksmith. He's got his LSID and everything.
That's right.
It's the question's simple. What are you taking away? What's your biggest takeaway from Vision 2017? Come on, and don't tell me I met a new friend. I want to know.
I met lots of new friends.
What one thing are you going to take away? You can't wait to apply to your craft.
I made some brilliant jokes that I'm actually really proud of that came up.
That one in the elevator.
The elevator joke was fantastic.
Legendary.
Yeah.
And I thought this was going to be a serious ending question.
No, that was
seriously a good joke. I'm really proud of it.
It was fast.
It was extremely
speed.
Right. So much of being funny is delivery, and that's what I'm most proud of. I'm most proud of the delivery.
Timing.
Timing.
The timing and the tone and the shock value.
How fast it came, because it was like, you're talking about lobbing him softballs in his class.
And I won't take
He
them.
got lobbed the softball of a lifetime in the elevator.
Is it my birthday? What's going on here?
He should have been hands together praying like, are you serious? Thank you.
Yep. I don't...
I must have missed
No,
it.
he skipped that and just bam.
I think for me is realization, and part of it is this conversation that we've had of the whole networking, the realization that Richard Boyd's not here, Dave DeCourcy's not here, that part of networking that I do so poorly is I'm not picking up the phone and I'm not calling Matt Fanslow. I'm not calling Pete Landry, or is it Laundry? And
you should all be able to see Pete rushing over to Bob and strangling him right now. But
I Skype with people all the time, and it's a different experience Skyping versus picking up the phone and having a conversation. And I don't do that enough, and that's how you build real relationships. And I need to work at that. That's what I'm taking away from some of this experience.
Thanks, Bob. Matt, he's only had 5 minutes to think about it.
From this vision,
it's more so a collection of small things and energy, and for me personally, it's hard to put a finger on it. I could tell you a few technical things that I've learned, or specific points that I've learned, but to put a finger on it,
they'll help you. They'll help you in a big way.
Right.
Okay.
Right. Yep.
All right.
And I'm thinking, like, in the expo, it became very apparent to me that shop management systems, the big guns, the ones that have been around forever, they better watch out with these small new people, because the integration they've got to start thinking about between how
there becomes a paradigm shift that they're not aware
front
of.
Front of counter, back in the shop, and the customer, and how that all has to work together and integrate with the parts companies, the distributors. They
got to think about the complete process.
Yeah,
from when they get the keys handed to them. Before that, when they make the appointment, the follow-up call, the marketing, the whole deal, and
they may be having to go back to the drawing board, because if they're too stuck in the way they're doing it now, they're going to be in trouble.
That's a great point.
The other thing is admiration of the passion people have for what they do, and wanting to learn more and do more and learn new things. I guess that just never gets old. I've been coming to this for probably a decade, and it just never gets old how a lot of the same faces over and over and over. This is earmarked on their calendars.
Yeah, I've been meaning to talk to you about that.
Oh, yeah?
I was hoping that maybe wouldn't have to see it next year.
You want to skip it?
No,
my class.
No, you're. I'll edit this part out.
My ugly mug.
That's where I was going, but apparently you weren't real quick on picking that up.
It's all about the timing.
So you've got a lot of editing ahead of you.
Oh, you think so?
Ow. This is all
Maybe I'll leave this part in.
Yeah, this is
the best part.
This is the best part. We're going to throw Pete under the bus and.
Well, you
keep getting back up.
Yeah.
That's your fault.
You didn't see that
It's called
coming.
determination.
You didn't see that coming.
If you're going to be dumb, you got to be tough. It's one of my one of the mottos I live by.
Anyway, thank you so much to Pete Landry, mobile technician, Matt Fanslow.
Friend of Scott Manna.
Okay, right. And Matt Fanslow from Riverside Auto, who's been in John's basement, by the way.
Right.
Does Scott admit that?
Not only has he been in John's basement,
I've never seen him
been
admit
in
it.
Scott Manna. I think he stayed the night at Scott Manna's house.
Are we name dropping? Because I was in Scott Manna's basement, and I made a phone call to Dave Scaler.
Wow.
Oh.
And he answered.
Oh.
And thank you to Bob Heipp from Mobile Auto Solutions. What a hoot, guys. I learned a bunch. Thanks.
Thank you.
It was G-rated, right?
Yeah, we're done. Hey, thanks, Matt Fanslow, Bob Heipp, and Peter Landry for bringing your A game to the interview. Hey, we'll do it again, but I may need a cooling off period. This could just become a series. And if it does, what topics do you want covered? Just email me at carm@remarkableresults.biz. That's B-I-Z. Hey, see the show notes for this episode at remarkableresults.biz/E206. I think there's a few more pictures there. Here was another episode that links people like Bob, Matt, and Peter to you through this great medium, podcasting. I'm happy you could be here. Hey, if you like what you heard, get to my website and sign up for the Insider newsletter. Share this episode and get on board with my social connections. And hey, email the episode link to just one friend. I'm grateful and thankful for your support. Thanks for being on board to listen and learn from another inspiring aftermarket professional. Until next time.